So
Now you didn't want to stay into like the whole social media thing, because I noticed on, in the earlier days when you would upload TikToks and Instagram stories and reels and stuff like that. And we mentioned earlier, like, you with the girl and you'd be recording and stuff like that. And you kind of did things more on like an entertainment level. Like you would try to make things funny, or you would be singing with things. Like, did you ever think to yourself that you wanted to go the way of like social media and kind of like entertain and do it? Cause I feel like when I was doing that, I was rolling more into the let me entertain people than let me show people, even though I was doing both. So did you
yeah.
ever come to realize and say, hey, you know what? I want to entertain people. Like when we went to Walmart. We went and had lunch. We had oysters in Fort Lauderdale. We were drinking. I was having Long Island's. I forget what you were having, but we were friggin' tanked. We were shit faced, and we went to Walmart. We would throw them ball pits. Like that video is a classic video, man, of just being
No,
entertaining. And we were like, "Oh, did we get the TV? Should we scan the TV?" And you asked the woman, you were like, "Hey, why does the Walmart suck so bad? Like, why does the app suck?" And she's looking at you like, "What?" Like did you ever feel like you wanted to go the entertainment route versus like
yeah, that's a great
business?
question, Richie. Yeah, that's a really great question. Um, I always got a lot of enjoyment out of making people, especially feel inspired but also laugh, and I love that about social media. I think I went through an interesting experience, definitely at Miami the first year. Like I had a lot of people, like I probably, 10, 15 people there were, there because of through TikTok for me. And even going into the second year, it was this really interesting transition where the nature of how I saw content sort of changed. And I don't view it as something bad. Like I still make content to help promote Miami. But I began to look at it a little differently. And I think like at first I used it as a means of like entertaining people, but I was also very alone, like all by myself. Like I didn't have a lot of friends. I knew I couldn't live with my family. And I really was, I hadn't like, I was living out of my car too, like August 2020, and I was using it as a way to connect with people, you know. But the experience that I went through, like the first Miami year, was like I just felt like almost like an imposter. Like I had all of this attention and respect, and part of me didn't even feel like I deserved it because I was barely making $50,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? So I guess on my list of now that I'm in a relationship, like and I feel like right now I'm way more grounded. Like I have way more like high quality friendships and like people I really fuck with and respect. And like, yes, I could get back on social media and build a brand, but it's just always felt like more of a distraction for me. And sort of, I don't know how to describe it. It's just been, I've sort of I fell out of love with it, like I'm a guy that really values like authenticity and the realness of relationships. And sometimes social media can feel kind of fake,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, I get it 100%.
Yeah. I could pour myself, I got a keg of beer in the fridge. Should I start drinking?
That could get interesting. That could get interesting.
No, I'm just kidding. It's a good question, or Richie. Who knows? Maybe I'll get into comedy or something, or entertainment or social media maybe in the future. But for right now, I'm honestly really enjoying just like, like everyday relationships outside of social media.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that question is because I started selling on Amazon. You guys already know my story. I don't really have to get into it, but for those that don't know, I started selling on Amazon in 2018, and I started a YouTube channel to like kind of like follow my journey, which was what we've been talking about as far as like retail arbitrage, going into stores and all this shit. And the one thing I feel like I agree with you on is I agree that like the social media can feel almost like this. There's just this like fake non-authentic feel about creating certain content. For instance, like I found myself and I started out, I looked at my older videos and I said, wow, I'm going in, I was a very serious person. Okay, guys, like we're going to scan this item, I'm going to be able to profit this, with shipping. And I was very like, this is how we're going to sell this item to make a profit. To fast forward 5 years later is fuck you, you ain't seeing my receipt, fuck you. Like it just became this like, it almost became like a toxic environment. And I think it's because when you go into 5 to 10 Walmarts every day, 5 days a week, for 3 years straight, and you're uploading, and you feel the pressures of uploading a content, and that pressure of once you get to a point where you see all these videos start taking off, now you feel, oh shit, I have to one up my last video. I have to keep this trend going. And I found myself that the confrontational videos, whether people want to agree with me or not, or regardless of how I feel, anything that involved kind of confrontation was generating views over, hey, showing people this is how you can make money. And it got to a point where I said, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. I don't want to do this. I hate Walmart. I can't go in there. Yeah, I felt like I need to take a step back. Let me, because I love social media. I love entertaining. I love YouTube. I love that aspect of it. And that was taking precedence over why I was actually in those stores getting the products in the first place. So I said, you know what? I got to step back. I need a break. I need to just stop. And I stopped for a few months. And then I'm like, okay, how do I want to get back into it? What do I want to do? And I always said to myself, I've always wanted to do in-person podcast. I think I've been talking about podcasting for like over a year now. I just didn't know how I would do it. And I've always given people shit about doing exactly what we're doing now. You fucking doing virtual podcasting. You can't do a fucking camera and a mic and all this other shit. You got to do virtual. You can't do in person, right? But I found that there's value in doing virtual podcasting with certain people. Like not everything has to be in person. And it took me a long time to realize that. But I'm glad I did.
No, I think it's awesome that you're starting this, Richie. I think that even if you build a couple people every month that follow you, like, and if you're sharing a good message, like that's what matters. And I think that you made a really good point. Like I think a lot of the younger generation is, but even me, fell into the same thing. It's like these kids are doing some crazy ass shit for some views. Mm-hmm. And it's like, don't get me wrong, like. That attention is currency. It's great, but also like, are you going to make yourself into a fool to get it?
Right. Like, are you going to lower your standards as a person just to be vulnerable for other people to get either a click or a like? You know what I mean? It's like, did you hear about the guy who got shot? The DoorDash guy. He was trying to make a food delivery, and there was this TikToker or a YouTuber that was like harassing this guy, and he was like in his face. And the kid was like, guy, get away from me, please get away from me. He kept going, like he was literally putting the camera like in his face, like trying to prank him or whatever, like trying to be annoying. The kid that was a DoorDash took out a gun, fucking shot him right in the leg. Said, get the fuck away from me. Boom, done. And the guy got off. He got off. He's like, I was defending myself. I don't know what this guy was doing. He was harassing me. He was in his face. I didn't know if he had anything. And he got off. They let him go. He was found not guilty.
Damn.
And it was just.
He was kind of like playing a character.
Yeah.
I don't know. The kid was just he was trying to do some kind of prank on the food delivery guy.
You know what the irony is for me though, to sit here and on my high horse be like, yeah, like I don't want to do crazy things for attention. The irony of that is in person. I fucking love doing crazy ass shit to get people.
Yeah, I do. Listen, I do too. I do too.
Diana and I are driving on the road here in Costa Rica, and like there's all these tourists on the road, and we're just like moaning in the highest pitch, like oh, and like groups.
Yeah.
Diana's doing it too, and like these groups of like 15 people are turning around, like just like totally scared. But it's not as addicting. Like when you're getting millions of views or hundreds of thousands of views, it's like a drug, dude. And
it is a drug. It
can take over your psyche if you're not careful. And
listen, I used to have an air horn, and here in Florida, I think Florida has some of the worst drivers in the country. And people will cross the street. They either jaywalk or they'll be in a crosswalk, and they walk really slow or they walk really fast to get in front of you, and then they slow down, right? So I had an ear horn in my truck from like, I don't know, I bought it on clearance at Walmart a long time ago. So I brought it up to the front seat with me, and every time somebody would like run fast in the crosswalk and then slow down as I would drive past, like, and they, oh shit, they jump, and I'm like, yo, I gotta get that on video, man, if I'm gonna do that. It's just funny.
Yeah, dude, that's great.
Oh my God.